watching Stock Watch. I'm Zinati Kuma, and joining me to unpack your stock-related questions today is Mark du Toit from Oystercatcher Investments and Ricus Reeders from PSG Hole-in-One Ruimsig. Be sure to send your questions through via email to stockwatch@bdtv.co.za, via SMS on 41392 or on X at Business Day TV using the hashtag StockWatch. Thank you so much for your time, gents. Let's start off with a banger because the first question we got today is the bull market dead? I don't know if we should be saying that, Mark, considering the rebound that we've seen today.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think the market's dead. I mean, we are dealing with a lot of uncertainty this week. So we've got uncertainty in South Africa regarding the budget and whether it's going to be passed and in what form it's going to be passed. Is there going to be a VAT hike? Is there not? And then we've got the big one tomorrow, which is Trump, the US president's announcement of tariffs. I actually think that a bit of more certainty around what the tariffs are actually going to look like, I think the market will like that. But it is a very uncertain time. Yeah, the last 2 days, the market performance in South Africa has been quite interesting. We had quarter end yesterday, and the market was down quite a bit, I think over 1%, and then today a rebound. So it seemed like more flow driven into the emerging markets, perhaps, than anything specific to South Africa. But yeah, I think equity markets, you buy the best companies, and you buy them because you think they're going to do well, and it's a long-term game. So I don't think the market's dead. No.
Well, talking about a long-term game, the viewer says you aren't going to make money in Trump's markets. Stock pickers are making money. Long-only guys are being crushed. Are the days of the narrative of being long on a stock over? Mark says, no, they're not. Ricus, your take?
Yeah, historically, that would be foolish. I mean, just take the S&P 500, for example. Now we are definitely, as far as the American markets are concerned, in a correction phase. We're down 10, 15%, 20% in some cases on some of the big names, and your broader market, the Russell 2000, same kind of scenario. That being said, if you go back to about 1959, 40% of the time the S&P 500 spends within, I think, about 15% of its all-time high, which translates into that prices tend to move up, just by virtue of inflation, for example. So it's nice to be able to, as I always said, change your exposure to a market when it's negative and add, for example, when it starts turning positive. But in the long run, you'd be foolish to declare any kind of market dead. Obviously, you do get exceptions. I mean, Japan is now back to where it was, I think, 15 or 20 years ago, but that's the exception. So unless you want to be totally contrarian, which is normally not the good thing to be because you're going against trend, I don't think you can say that being long of stocks is a foolish idea.
On top of the pessimism on the narrative of going long on stocks, the viewer says, so the only option left is to trade options with a question mark. On down days, you get some married puts, and on up days, you get covered calls. It's like squeezing the last drops of juice in an orange, but it's better than not having an orange. What do you think? It seems that the viewer's just trying to, completely get off going long and really just trying to look for something to settle on at this point, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's obviously doing a bit of a short-term trading game there, using options, trying to take advantage of some of the shorter-term moves in the market. I think that, you can do it. It is for more sophisticated players. I understand the options market. I imagine he's doing it offshore because in South Africa we have quite a small option market, which is largely controlled by the bank. So it's difficult to trade as a retail investor. But yeah, you can do that. You can try that. You can make your money that way, or you can look for great companies to buy, and then you sleep well at night. And 10 years time, you look to see the gains that you've made.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I think, Ricus, is it just, for the impatient investor, then trading options is really the option here?
I think you've nailed it there, using the word impatient. There's nothing wrong with sitting in your hands and not doing anything. If the market doesn't fit your trading philosophy, whether it be options or whether it be long only or whether it be shorting, if it's not your kind of market, don't be in it. Or if you are in it, and as Marcus said, if you're in the kind of company or instrument that you don't lose sleep over, then your short-term volatility you can ignore. Markets are volatile. We are in a volatile period. You don't have to do anything. Just make sure that whatever you bought, that company still does what it is doing and what you thought it was going to do. And if the price moves against you, as long as the company still does its business as it's supposed to do, there's no reason to do anything. You might as well not, just sit on your hands, basically.
All right. Well, happy campers have been investors in gold. There's a question specifically on Pan-African Resources. Any reason why Pan-African Resources did not perform as other gold stocks? That was on Friday and yesterday. Not really sure how it did today, but seeming that it is not participating or has not been participating in the most recent rally. I think even yesterday gold hit another record high, but it is up about 4% today. Mark?
Yeah, so Pan is one of the smaller gold miners listed on the South African Stock Exchange. I think that the daily moves are quite volatile in gold and PGM counters. I don't think you should lose too much sleep if it's a 2% move, because that can happen at any time with these companies. And Pan's got a good story. It's done well. It's used its cash flow that it's made out of the high gold prices to invest in a Mintails tailings facility, which is a retreatment facility, which is typically lower risk mining for gold. So they've diversified their business, and also they've made what looks like a great acquisition in Australia. So they're also going to now start up operations in Australia, and on paper it looks like a good deal. So I don't think there's anything wrong with Pan at the moment, and you just need the gold price to stay where it is, and Pan will make good money.
And actually, it's good to know that we do have the graphs back so that our viewers can take a look at those trends. And we have actually seen quite a steady upward trend on Pan-African Resources. Just to participate in what is going on with gold right now, Ricus, would you be choosing Pan-African as your miner or not?
Well, you can probably see me looking around my screen at the moment, because I did a little analysis this morning, and if I'm not mistaken, Pan-Africa over the past year has done the best out of my universe of about 130 local stocks that I follow. So it's had a huge run. So a lot of what is good about the company is probably in the price, despite the whole gold mining sector looking pretty good. Certainly no reason to sell. I think they're a very good little operation. They are obviously exposed very much to South Africa, which can be a problem as far as I'm concerned. But I think part of why didn't Pan respond on it, but in a particular day, is because of its track record over the past 12 months.
All right. So, really looking like a 1 day or 2 days move really doesn't do anything to change the trend that we have seen, at least over the past year. Well, talking about trends, we have seen an upward trend in the telecoms companies after they were quite beaten down last year. There's a specific question on Vodacom. Is it still a good investment at the current share price? And what is the reason for the upward trend the last couple of weeks? I know that we have had some news coming out of MTN because of the tariff increases in Nigeria, and also at Telecom with the kind of strategy moves that they have been making. But Vodacom, I don't know if there's been anything specific necessarily, or if it's just been following the trend in the other telecoms counters. Mark?
Yeah, I mean, in the telecom space, I think Vodacom, they struggled a bit with the Egyptian business for a while. I mean, there was a big currency devaluation last year, so that looks like it's now in the base, and it looks like the earnings out of South Africa are going to be a bit better for a while. And I think that's why the share price has re-rated. I mean, we typically don't like the telecoms companies because of the high capex required, the consistent reinvestment in capex that they require. So for us, Vodacom's looking a little bit expensive here. But yeah, I mean, I think in the shorter term, as long as the Egyptian pound doesn't have another big devaluation, I think Vodacom's going to look all right for a while. But yeah, for us, it's a little bit expensive at these levels.
Okay. On a 3 to 5 year period, Ricus, would this be a good buy? And if not, what would be a better option within that telecom space?
Yeah, I agree with Mark. I'm normally not very interested in telecoms for all the reasons that Mark mentioned, except that sector. Well, it's only 4 companies, locally, Bluetel, Telecom, MTN, and Vodacom, but it's been the best performing sector again at least since the start of the year, possibly over the year as well. So I missed out on that. But I can't see any specific reason for Vodacom. Obviously, the Egyptian business helped, and I think there were specific things with these specific companies. You know, whether it be Telecom's business improving, MTN and Nigeria having a semi-good year, or depending on how you look at it. Bluetel, obviously, a lot of restructuring, but price-wise, technically wise, I mean, I've got a target of about 140 Rand on Vodacom, but 3 years from now, I don't know. I don't think it's a brilliant sector to be in. So I would take advantage of current strength and current price momentum, but I don't think I'll be wed to it for the next 3-4 years. If you take a look at other telecom companies, the one that I do like is Deutsche Telekom. Not only their developments in Europe, but also what they're doing in America, of all places, specifically the flyover states where they've got a jump on other network providers as far as both coverage and a technological advantage. So yeah, that's another possibility.
All right. There is a question here on how ETNs work when investing. An example is in an instrument like ASML. Standard Bank Online has a range of ETNs with the different ETN codes. And how safe are these instruments? It looks like a good investment with no hassles when investing overseas. And I'm guessing it would be in comparison to maybe ETFs, Ricus?
Yeah, the simple answer to how safe they are is they're as safe as the institution that offers the product. Unlike, and this is very broadly speaking, unlike an exchange-traded fund or an ETF, where that instrument is backed by a physical holding in whatever asset it's based on. You know, if you buy the Satrix 40 ETF, you know, the instrument is a combination of real physical shares held within that fund. An ETN is a promise by the institution that issued. For example, somebody will do an ETN on, let's say, NVIDIA. Yeah. And they guarantee that they will honor the share price movement if you buy that instrument and you want to sell it. They're both the market maker and they will track it. But you can't, in theory, go to the institution and say, hello, I would like to exchange my ETN for a NVIDIA share. Okay. Whereas with an ETF, you theoretically can actually go to the institution and say, hello, I would like to sell this ETF of mine
Yeah.
and get these shares, the underlying shares, physically placed in my name. I think, Mark, that's about it,
Yes.
if I understand it correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing maybe to add is just to make sure that you understand the terms of the note, because sometimes there can be things like leverage added in there. But yeah, I think Standard Bank is a credible institution, and I think are trustworthy. So yeah, as long as you understand that there is credit risk,
Yeah.
and you understand what the actual note is, then I think they actually are a fine investment.
And just on the no hassle kind of narrative, would you say that that is the case even with that credit risk? I mean, particularly looking at Standard Bank as the institution that has it. Mark?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think that at the moment there's nothing to worry about with Standard Bank. I think I've picked Standard Bank as my share pick a few months back. So yeah, we like Standard Bank. We don't think there's any credit risk at the moment.
Yeah.
And I suppose hassle-free in terms of you don't have to first take your money offshore. You don't have to open an offshore brokerage account. You can do it from South Africa. So from that point of view, I think it is less hassle.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that clarity, gents. Let us go into paper. Is there any reason for the downward trend of SAPI's share price? Is it a good buy at the current level? If I remember correctly, last year SAPI was the outperformer compared to Mondi. But I have seen that I think since about November, it has been on a downward trend. Ricus, specific reasons for that?
They had a trading update. I can't remember what it was, but obviously the market didn't like it because the price is back to August 2003 levels. So it's given back all its gains, which just shows you how cyclical SAPI is. It goes nowhere fast, and it has these huge cycles. It's almost like a poultry company in that sense, volatility-wise. Whether it's a good buy at these prices, I don't know, because of the of how cyclical it is. It's very difficult to now go and do a discounted cash flow or anything like that. It's something that I would view as a trading instrument, and if you think it's found a bottom at its previous lows and it can pick up from these levels, trade it. Although fundamentally, I can't really see why that should happen, considering the markets that they operate, and the cost pressures that they're under.
Yeah. I mean, Mark, would you say that this is a sectoral trend and not even just specifically SAPI? Because it's not like Mondi has done any better, really.
Well, I mean, I think that, SAPI has been particularly hard hit this year from a share price point of view. I think that there is concern about the tariffs impacting SAPI because, I mean, SAPI is a South African business. It's got mills in South Africa, and it also has mills in the US. It also sells into the US graphic paper market. So there is uncertainty as to, how do the tariffs affect SAPI's earnings. It does look a little bit overdone, given the share price movement. They do sell a lot into the dissolving wood pulp market, which is largely driven by textile sales out of China, and that market actually looks okay. So yeah, I mean, it seems a bit harsh, the sell-off in SAPI's share price to me. So I think, for me, I don't think that the tariffs. I think there will have to be some rationality when it comes to tariffs. You might be the unlucky business that really gets hit hard in this whole reset of tariffs, but I think on the whole, I think that some kind of sanity will prevail, and companies like SAPI will still have a business and not be as badly affected as what the share price would suggest.
Well, we await D-Day, and that is tomorrow. Here's a stock that I don't know if it is on your radar at this point, Marian Roberts. That share price has been holding at R1.10. Is it worth investing in? I don't know. To me, it sounds like it's been holding there, but at the same time, it has such a sharp drop that is it worth investing in because it just hasn't gotten any worse? Also, I don't know how much worse it could get. Ricus?
No, you can't invest. It's in business rescue. So as far as I know, trading is suspended, which is why the price is holding there. So that tells you the story.
Yes. Ooh, okay. Yeah, any chances of Marion Roberts making it out? Yeah, on any kind of capacity, Mark?
Well, I mean, yeah, typically you go into business rescue because you've put into business rescue by your debt holders, and typically that's not a great outcome for equity holders. The business rescue practitioner gets appointed, and they try and trade the way out of the difficulty.
Yeah.
So typically, there's not a lot left over for equity shareholders, and unfortunately, if you own Marion Roberts, you basically have to wait until the process winds up to know what your investment is worth. So can't buy it now, and
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
are a shareholder, you just have to wait for the process to wind up.
All right. Well, something that investors have been buying is Aspen. Is it worth holding? Yeah, if you are already in the stock and you've also participated in the rally that we had seen, is it worth holding on some more, Ricus?
I don't know. It's forming some kind of base. Whether it is the base, I don't know. There's been some bad publicity over the past week or so regarding some of the eye drops that they exported to America, which didn't meet up standard. That didn't help. Aspen's, I think, big problem still is they've got a lot of capacity that's got to be used in deals with overseas companies, which might also be impacted. If you're manufacturing something over here and you want to export it to America, what's the tariff situation going to be? So there's uncertainty, but huge potential. But I'm hesitant to say go and buy it right now. I would first like to see real operational movement in the company itself, together with earnings, together with cash flow, that kind of thing, before I say, okay, now's the time to pull the trigger and buy it.
Well, cautious on buying, but if I'm already a holder, should I wait, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, Ricus is right. It is a capacity story, so they've got excess capacity which they're looking to fill, and if they are able to fill that and manufacture on behalf of someone else, then they're going to make a lot of money. So I mean, we are positive. We do think that they will be successful in filling up their capacity, and yeah, so we like the stock, and yeah, we're confident that management will be able to fulfill the promises that they've put out to the market, and given that the earnings will increase.
Well, what is your confidence in Ricus, your stock pick for today?
It's Omnia. Very specifically, they're down about 15% from their recent highs, in line with the market. There is a dispute with SARS overhanging the stock, but I think that should mostly be in the price. As far as the operations are concerned, it's only the chemical side of things that are not doing all that well. But I think they will have, on the agricultural side, a good year. We've seen a harvest coming in. On the mining side, should be okay. And in their last report, they've been increasing both volumes and margins in both of those businesses, and they're sitting with a very healthy balance sheet. So I don't think it's it's going to double or anything like that. But I think at current valuations, current prices, we should have some kind of price adjustment and upside to the higher 70s, maybe 80 rand on that.
All right. Mark, where are you seeing upside today? Your stock pick?
Yes, so tonight I'm picking Bidcorp. So it's a nice, large, quality company. Share price has done nothing for about a year. I think it's basically flat over a full year. So you're paying a better price than a year ago for this company. It's got a big, diverse business across geographies. 40% of the business is in Europe, so any pickup in a better macro situation in Europe, any resolution to the Ukraine-Russia war, that kind of thing will be good for sentiment for the stock. I think earnings will grow above double digits, so maybe 11%, 12% a year, and you get a dividend of 2.5%. So it's a nice, decent return for a big quality company.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for your analysis today, gents. Really appreciated. That is all for Stock Watch tonight. Thanks to our guest, Mark du Toit. From Oystercatcher Investments and Ricus Reeders from PSG Hall in 1 Ruimsig. Do remember that on Wednesdays we pre-record Stockwatch at 1. So please do send your questions before 1 p.m. tomorrow. Up next though, the close. Stay watching.